Hi boys and girls, and welcome to another language arts class with Miss Weir. I know once it is that you see Miss Weir, you know that I'm here to make your lives way easier while we learn. Alright, now for today we're going to still be doing language art, yes, but we're going to be looking, or we're going to be taking a look at another aspect that falls under language arts. Okay, so we're going to be looking at something comprehension related, because both work hand in hand. You need one knowledge to help you with the other. Now, for today, we're going to be focusing on something that is rather fun. And as I said to you before, it's a learning process. So we're going to take our time and we're going to ensure that the concept being taught is fully understood. Now, for those persons who are just getting the opportunity to join for today's class, my name is Miss Weir and I am your language arts teacher. All right, boys and girls, let's begin. Now, we're going to be making inferences today. Now, whether you want to believe it or not, we make inferences every single day, whether it be we are speaking or even in the event of us writing, and I'm going to show you how. Now, before we go into all of that, let's have a better understanding as to what is meant when we say to infer or inferencing in a nutshell, before it is that we can explore anything else that falls under it. Now, bear in mind, do remember that this is something that can be used throughout the whole comprehension process. So when you're reading, when you're writing, you can utilize this to help you to understand what you're doing a little bit better. Let's take a look at what inferencing is. Now, when you make inferences, you do something specific, right? You go beyond the author's words to understand what is not said in the text. So inferencing, in a nutshell, is really you reading between the lines. You're picking up, based on the information that was provided to you, you're using it along with what you already know to come up with something. So what you're doing there when you're inferencing is reading between the lines. Let's continue. Now, when you're inferencing, as I said to you before, you use information that is given to you as well as information that you already know, and you either make a prediction or a conclusion. Now, when we're talking about predictions, really you take information from the text and what you know, which is still the same process of inferencing, to say what might happen in the future. Based on what you're giving, this is what you think might happen. And you can still use the same process to draw conclusions to say that this is what will happen. All right, boys and girls. So when you think about inferencing, I want you to bear something in mind. You're using information given. So you're using the information given plus your prior knowledge and then you will infer or make an inference. It's as simple as that. So you're using information given, that is whatever information you see or you hear, and you're adding that with your prior knowledge, which is what you already know. What you already know. And with that, with that combination, you can infer or make an inference. All right, boys and girls. Now I want you to quickly watch this cartoon for me. Watch to see if you can have a better understanding as to what inference is. Let's take a look.
All right, you guys, pull over. That's the bank's money right there. I caught you red-handed. You're going to spend a long time behind bars.
Cut! They're not going to jail. That's not in the script.
Are you serious?
Check it out. First, you leap onto their car and yell, "All right, you guys, pull over." And then you say, "That's the bank's money right there." Then I caught you red-handed, then nothing. See? There is no line about spending time behind bars.
I guess I made an inference. I mean, look. The alarm is going off at the bank. They're running from the police. And they have bags of cash from the bank in the car. I made an inference that they were going to jail because of what they did.
You made an inference? What on earth are you talking about?
Well, I read the text. I thought about what I know, and so I made an inference.
Oh, now I get it. Of course. In real life, they'd have to be arrested and charged. And there'd be a trial and lawyers, and before we knew for sure, they were going to jail.
What if I say, you guys are going to need a good lawyer?
Yes, that works for me. All right, everyone. We'll do it again.
All right, boys and girls. Now, I'm almost sure that you enjoyed that video not too long ago. And you can see where the person, the cartoon character, was making an inference. Now, even though the information was not readily handed to this person, what they did was to use their prior knowledge along with what was given to them to actually infer. So going back to the situation now, the scene was depicting a robbery taking place. Now, in the real life situation, we know once it is that a robbery is happening, we know that the police will get involved, and ultimately, or maybe in some instances, or in some cases, those persons are arrested and charged. Now, without you knowing all of that information, once you think about a robbery, or once you hear that, what comes to mind readily is police. What comes to mind readily is going to jail. All right. So with all of that information that you got, along with what you already know based on what you have been exposed to, right, based on your experience, you're able to infer. So as I said to you, boys and girls, we infer every single day. Once you have to draw a conclusion, once you have to predict something, you are incorporating inferencing. All right, let's continue and learn a little bit more about this topic. Let's go. Now, infer is a verb, yes. And what it really means is, or what it really entails is reasoning. You have to think about something. You conclude or judge from evidence something that you were given initially. When you infer, that means you guess, you speculate, you surmise. You hint, you imply, and you suggest. All of these things, all of what was mentioned just now is telling you that once you're inferring, that means you're drawing conclusions, you're making predictions, and you're not doing it because, oh well, you're just doing it for doing its sake. No, you got something to work with, and you use that information along with your prior knowledge, your personal experience to conclude or to predict something, which is the same as inferencing. You're making or you're inferring. All right, boys and girls. So once it is that you hear about inferring, think about something being implied. Think about something being implied. All right, think about your own experience. Think about some things that you would have been exposed to. Think about what it is that you were given to work with. And once you do that and you combine all of that knowledge, you can make an inference, or you can infer something based on what you are given. All right, boys and girls. So that's all to inferencing. As I said to you before, this is a skill that can be used right across the board. If you're reading something, and you don't fully understand what it's saying, all you have to do is to use the information that is there, use what is given to you, use what you know, what you have experienced before, to try to have a better understanding as to what is being said. Because remember, not everything will be handed to you, especially when you're reading something from someone else, where understanding is concerned. All right, boys and girls, let's continue. Now, an inference is using information that you have heard or information that you have read, along with what you already know, to figure out something that you were not told. Let's go again. Once it is you're inferring or you're making an inference, what you do is you get information. Yes, some information you will read, some you will hear. and you use that information combined with what you already know, your personal experience, and you use that to help you to figure out something that you were not told, something that was not handed to you, something that was not blatantly said. And you have to think about it. You have to think about what is being presented to you, and that is when you infer or make an inference. All right, boys and girls. So as I said to you before, you do this every single day when you're having conversations with your friends, your family members, your teachers, your classmates. You infer. Sometimes they don't give you all the information that you need, but once it is that you get a part of the information and what you know when you think about or when you're in that situation, you can say, okay, this is what it actually means. That is you really inferring. That's you inferring or making an inference. And so you see, it's not very hard. Once it is that you know the information, the whole learning process itself is extremely easier. All right, boys and girls, it's extremely easier. Now let's try to come up with a simple way for us to remember the information now. Let's take a look. Now, we can always incorporate math when we're doing anything. Everything that you learn, it doesn't matter which subject area, the information can be transferred, and you can actually try to use that knowledge when you're doing anything whatsoever, especially when you're dealing with inferences. Now, this is just a quick equation that I came up with to help you guys to have a better understanding, right? Now, when we're talking about inferencing, yes, as I said to you before, it is what you read or what you heard, right? It's what you read or what you heard. This could be a quote from a text or something that is written. It doesn't matter what it is. And you combine that with what you know. What you know in this case, your personal experience, what you have been exposed to before, your background knowledge, that is the same as your prior knowledge. And with both of that combined, what I read or hear plus what I already know will help you to infer or make an inference. So it's almost as if you're putting 2 and 2 together. All right, boys and girls, so you put 2 and 2 together. And I'm sure that this is a term that you would have been exposed to on a day-to-day basis. So sometimes, as I said to you before, you're not given a lot of information. You see your friend standing there, and your friend, you know, her arms are folded and her head is down, and you see tears running down, and you don't know what's happening. But based on all that is happening in the current situation, what you saw, right, your friend's body position, her facial expression, and all of that, and you know that, okay, when someone cries, that means something is wrong. So you use right there what you were seeing, what you heard, and what you already know about the situation to infer that something is wrong. You're drawing a conclusion or you're making a prediction. All right, boys and girls? So that is all to it where inferencing is concerned. Okay? Now, to have a better understanding, we're going to do a quick activity. Take a look at this image, all right? And I want you, based on what you are seeing, what can you infer about this child? What can you say is actually happening with this child? Now, you're using what it is that you are seeing, the information being provided to you, and you're going to use your prior knowledge. When you see someone looking like this, what does it usually mean? What does it mean? And once you combine that information, you would be making an inference, or you would be inferring. It's as simple as that. Now, if we look at this little girl and we look at her face, we look at how her hand is positioned, we look at her eyes, we look at her lips, or her mouth, her facial expression, all of that, we can conclude quite a lot of things. We can conclude also that the child is not happy. Something happened. Now, we might not know exactly what happened, but we can predict, or we can, come up with a conclusion to say something actually happened for her to look exactly like that. And that is where we were just inferring, or we just made an inference. So you see how easy it is, boys and girls? Extremely easy. Now let's test your skills to see if you have a better understanding as to what it means when we're supposed to infer or make an inference. So we're going to play a little game, right? I'm going to give you some scenarios and you're going to use the information that is there to help you to infer or make an inference and say to Miss Weir that yes, this is what is happening. This is what I predict. This is what I conclude. All right, boys and girls, let's begin. Now, you adopt a puppy from the shelter, right? And he seems nervous and scared. He hides from loud noises and has some noticeable scars. What can you infer about this puppy? What can you infer about this puppy? You're using the information that you're given plus your prior knowledge to infer or make an inference. Let's go again. So you adopt a puppy, right? You adopt a puppy from a shelter and he seems nervous and scared. He hides from loud noises and has some noticeable scars. What can you infer? What can we infer, boys and girls? Giving you a minute to do so. What can we infer? Think about it. Look at what is given to you. Based on all the information that you got just now, what can you say about this puppy? And you can use this to also help you. So as I said to you before, let's go. You're going to use clues from what they gave to you. Use clues from what they gave to you, boys and girls, plus what you know. What you know, and then you can draw your own conclusion. What can we infer? Now, based on what was said, we can infer that the puppy was abused, maybe by its former owner. Something happened. And what we can use to say that yes, this is so, we can go back to the information given to us and we can highlight a few points. Now, do bear in mind that we said, the information said that when you went to adopt the puppy or get the puppy from the shelter, the puppy seemed nervous and scared. Something happened. Why is this puppy so nervous and scared? The puppy is not happy. And this could be because of something that the puppy was exposed to before. And we also know that he hides from loud noises and has some noticeable scars. So the puppy trust me, the puppy got a fine beating, so to speak. And with all that information that we receive, we just infer to say that maybe it could be a case where the puppy was abused by its first owner or the owner that had it before the child decided to adopt it. All right, boys and girls, easily put. So you see where you use the information plus what you know to infer. Let's continue. Situation, or let's give you the scenario number 2. The storm was raging outside and the rain poured down. Justin looked out of the window. He dropped his kite and began sobbing. What can you infer? Based on the information that you got, what can you infer? What can you infer? You can infer that Justin really and truly wanted to fly his kite. If he didn't want to fly his kite, why would he throw it down? And based on the weather condition and all that was happening, he was extremely upset. He was extremely sad. And we can always go back to the information. It said that when Justin looked out through the window, when he looked out of the window, he dropped his kite and began sobbing. So he was extremely upset. And I know that a lot of us sobs when it is that we don't get our own way. So you can only imagine Justin get up, he got up in the morning and he got up and he's like, yes, I'm going to fly my kite. It's kite day. And Justin realized that something strange is happening outside. Move the curtain to just look outside and realize that, wait, rain. It's raining. But that means I can't fly my kite. And that's when he immediately started sobbing. So this is saying that Justin really wanted to fly his kite, and because of the rain, he became extremely upset. Let's do one more before it is that we move on. Let's take a look. Now, two cars are stopped at the traffic light, right? Two cars are stopped at the traffic light. Now, the car behind the first one is honking and waving. What can we infer? Two cars, at the stoplight. Two cars are at the stoplight, and the car that's behind the first one, so I want you to have a visual representation as well. So think about it. Use your prior knowledge. I'm sure that you have taken the taxi before, and I'm almost sure that you went on the road with your uncle, or you went on the road with mommy or daddy, whichever case. And there are two cars there at the stoplight, and we see that the first one is there, yes, and the one behind is honking and waving. What can we infer? What can we infer, boys and girls? What can we really infer? Now, what we can infer is that the person who is behind, who is honking and waving, furious and all, really wants to move, needs to go. Get out of the way, I have somewhere to go, even though they stopped at the stoplight. Now, you use the information that was given to you before to help you to infer or make an inference. So let's go back to it. Now, we know that there are two cars and it stopped at the traffic light, yes, right? And the car behind the first one, what was he doing? Honking and waving. And he's not honking and waving because he's saying, hi, hello, how are you? No, this person needs to go. I don't have any time to waste, get out of my way. That is what I infer based on my own personal experience. Now, what I experience could be something different from what you experience. So it doesn't mean that if it is a case where you didn't have what Miss Weir just said, you're wrong. No, that's not the case. That's not the scenario. Because remember, once we're inferring, we use the information given plus our prior knowledge, what we have as our own experiences, and then we come up with a conclusion. We draw a conclusion. All right, boys and girls? So it is as simple as that. Let's continue and learn a little bit more about the whole process of inferencing. Now, there are some steps that you have to follow, right, to help you when you're inferring. So I want you, boys and girls, to find clues to get some answers. Find some clues from the information that is given to you. Then you're going to add those clues to what you already know or you have read. You're going to add it to what it is that you already know or your prior knowledge in this case. Right? And once you conclude or make your inference, I want you to always go back and find evidence to support what you said from before. Because I'm almost sure that you don't just say it for saying sake. Right? You don't say it for saying sake, but instead you got something, you got some information. You saw that word or phrase, you saw that sentence that helped you to draw a conclusion. You got that sentence, you saw that sentence and all of that to help you to draw a conclusion, so to speak. So let's go over the steps again. Let's go over them. I want you guys to get them. The first step that you must follow when you're dealing with or when you're trying to infer something is to find clues. Once you find the clues, you add that with your prior knowledge. And once it is that you conclude the information, you must go back and find the evidence. What did you use to support your answer? Now, thank you, boys and girls, for joining me today for your language arts lesson. I hope the information was well received on your end. Until we meet again, boys and girls, please stay safe. Bye.
Lips smacking fizzy, sipping bubblicious Pepsi, loving cola, craving so refreshing. Shit, my thirst, flavor burst. Ice kicking, OMG, amazing. Gotta have my Pepsi, sipping, loving joy, giving, always loving Pepsi.